really quickly run through the PowerPoint on human nutrition just to highlight a few things that seem to come up a lot or whatever. Your first C is your definition of nutrition. It's the way in which an organism obtains its food or gets its food. You have two types, autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs are capable of producing their own food, so green plants is our example there. Heterotrophs are not capable of producing their own food. They must take in pre-formed food. Okay, where do they get it from? Animals, plant. That'd be the main way. Okay, so the three subdivisions of heterotrophs then are herbivores, omnivores, and carnivores, and you need a definition and an example of each. Okay, now digestion is the breaking down of food into small soluble pieces. Okay. And the need for a digestive system there, like some organisms do not have any digestive system. We have more complicated organisms do. Okay, where you have a system where you have all of the food being digested. In other organisms, they have all of the cells in their body have to produce every single enzyme, and the food is digested in each cell. Whereas we have a kind of a center, if you like, or a system that digests food and then passes the digested food on into our bloodstream. So it's more efficient, I suppose. Okay, obviously you need to be able to label the organs of the digestive system. Okay, and then these are the four stages of nutrition. So ingestion, digestion, absorption, and egestion. Will you be careful that you're able to define each of the four stages? And will you watch that you don't confuse egestion with excretion? So excretion is the removal of waste that you have made in your body. Okay, and the kidney is the main organ there that we talk about producing urine. Okay, whereas egestion is removal of undigested, unabsorbed waste, okay, or material, I suppose. Undigested, what do you eat really that you cannot digest? Fibre. The bulk of what you ingest through your anus is fibre, dead cells, that sort of thing, a little bit of water. So it's the removal of undigested, unabsorbed material. It hasn't gone into your bloodstream because it's too large, can't fit through. Now, for each of the organs, you're going to have to talk about mechanical and physical digestion. Mechanical or physical digestion is how the alimentary canal physically breaks down food. So think of PP. So if you're asked to write a note on physical digestion in the mouth, say, okay, you're starting off with PP peristalsis. So peristalsis is the muscular contraction of the alimentary canal. Okay, now the mouth wasn't a great example actually because there isn't much peristalsis going on in the mouth, is there? But if physical digestion, you're thinking peristalsis. Write a note on physical digestion, peristalsis. So the muscular contraction of the alimentary canal, moving the food along. And remember that we need to eat fibre to stimulate or to aid peristalsis. In your mouth, what have you got? You've got your tongue, you've got your teeth, contractions of the stomach wall, physically digesting your food. Teeth, 4 types of teeth you need to know, and you need to know the dental formula. Chemical digestion then involves the use of enzymes, okay? So if it's your mouth that you asked to write a note on, you'd be talking about the salivary glands producing salivary amylase, and you talk about salivary amylase then breaks down starch to maltose, and pH, preferred pH or optimum pH is 7, okay? What's saliva? Saliva is a mixture of water, salt, mucus, lysozyme, and obviously salivary amylase. The tongue then physically moving your food around. Maybe stop the video and see, can you label that diagram there? Now the esophagus connects pharynx, which is like the back of your throat, to your stomach. Okay, it moves the food down by peristalsis. Again, muscular contraction of the esophagus, moving the food from the back of your mouth or your pharynx down to your stomach. Okay, and again, fibre. Peristalsis, that's fine. Now, stomach then is a muscular bag. It stores the food for about 4 hours, and it turns it into the kind of a chime while the food is there. Okay, again, if they ask you about physical digestion of the stomach wall, you're going to say contractions of the muscular wall of the stomach, moving the food around and mixing it up with the juice, the gastric juice, okay? So mechanical digestion is there, and then chemical digestion involves the use of enzymes. So you will talk about gastric glands in the wall of your stomach producing gastric juice. And what does the gastric juice contain? Mucus, HCl, and pepsin. And you need to know the functions, okay, of each of the components of gastric juice. So the mucus lines and protects your stomach wall from autodigestion. So you don't want the proteins of your stomach actually being digested by pepsin. So you've got a layer of mucus protecting the wall of your stomach, so the pepsin can't get at it. Ulcers result, of course, if those mechanisms fail. HCl then is creating an acidic medium. It's killing any bacteria that you might take in your food, and it activates the inactive pepsinogen to active pepsin. So once the inactive pepsinogen comes up through the wall of your stomach, it meets the HCl in the lumen of the stomach, and it is activated. Okay. Now, sphincter muscle and is a ring of muscle. Remember, the cardiac sphincter muscle allows entry into your stomach from the esophagus, and the pyloric sphincter muscle allows the stomach to open, and the food, or the chyme as it would be called, then goes into the duodenum. Okay. Now, sometimes they'll ask you in the exam questions for two associated glands to the digestive system. Associated glands would be things like the pancreas and the liver. Now, you've already studied the endocrine system at this stage. So remember, we said that the pancreas was both an endocrine and an exocrine organ or gland, okay? Now, what does that actually mean? Well, exocrine, remember, means that it has ducts. So you have a pancreatic duct coming out of the pancreas carrying pancreatic juice. Okay, it has a tube. Endocrine, remember, no duct. Okay, no for endocrine, no ducts. And examples there would be that the pancreas produces insulin and it's absorbed straight into the bloodstream. There's no duct carrying insulin. Okay. So, under the stomach, secretes pancreatic juice into the pancreatic duct. And again, you need to know the composition of pancreatic juice. So, it contains pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, and sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay? And the function of the lipase and the amylase, you know, sodium hydrocarbonate is a salt that neutralizes the acidic chyme. Functions of the liver. Now, these are loads. The liver is a really important organ that carries out lots of functions. But maybe we'll zone in more on the functions of the liver in relation to nutrition. So it makes bile, it stores glucose as glycogen. So do you remember we talked about it being like a warehouse? So that the liver gets all of the absorbed nutrients, and the liver decides what it stores and what it sends out. So the liver will send out so much glucose, and it'll store the rest of it as glycogen for when we need it later, okay, to produce energy and respiration. Stores glycogen, produces bile, stores vitamins, minerals, that sort of thing. Now, bile is a yellow greenish kind of a liquid, and it consists of water, bile salts, which again neutralizes the acidic chyme going into the duodenum, and bile pigments. It emulsifies fats, okay, and to help the digestion of lipid or fat. Okay, so it's stored in the gallbladder. That we know the point about bile. Okay, now pancreas, we've mentioned that. Now the small intestine is divided up into three really, but the two that you're asked about would be the duodenum and the ileum. Remember, duodenum, D for duodenum, D for digestion. So in the duodenum, the food is fully digested. Okay, and then it's in the ileum, then the nutrients are absorbed. They're small now and they're soluble now. They can fit across the lining, the capillary lining into your blood, and they're soluble in your blood plasma, so they can be carried to your liver. Okay, the duodenum, first section, if you like, of the small intestine, DD, digestion. Okay, the cells of the duodenum produce things like lipase and maltase, okay, to finish off digestion. So now all of our nutrients that we ingested are fully digested, small, soluble, so they can pass across now into the blood in the ileum. Now, remember our TLC for adaptations for function. So T, okay, thin walls, long, okay, and large surface area or long, and the other one then C was the capillaries, so good blood supply, if you like. Okay, so the job of the ileum is to absorb the nutrients into your bloodstream. So the adaptations are there. Now, really important, lads, that you'd be able to they're the adaptations again of the ileum, but you need to be able to label a villus, so like at the bottom there you'd have muscular wall, which is allowing contraction of the small intestine, you know, churning and for peristalsis, for physical digestion. Then you have the lacteal in the middle, which remember now, fatty acids and glycerol are not water soluble, so they don't pass straight into the bloodstream. They go into the lacteal first, or the lymph. Okay, they reform to form fats because they've passed through now. They're able to get through. They're small enough to get through now. Reform as fats, coated with protein, and they travel in the lymph. Where do they rejoin the bloodstream? The base of the neck, subclavian vein. The fat will go back into the bloodstream there, okay? The other digestive nutrients are water soluble, like glucose, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, so they go straight into your blood capillary and go to your liver straight away via the hepatic portal vein. Remember, portal vein means that it ends and starts in capillaries, and hepatic implies liver. So it's going from, watch the direction now of blood flow, from the intestine to the liver, okay? Be able to label a diagram of the villus or draw one even, perhaps. So remember, again, thin walls, 1 cell thick, okay, so that the nutrients can pass across into the blood easily enough. Rich blood supply, got a lacteal, it's long and large surface area for absorption, okay? So there we go, hepatic portal vein. And look, that comes up a lot actually in the shorter questions. So you've got your liver there. Now, if you are asked to draw arrows to show the direction of blood flow, the nutrients are going from the small intestine or the ileum to your liver, and then your liver will decide what to do with those nutrients, okay? Fat digestion, we spoke about that. Watch that, where they rejoin. Subclavian vein, base of the neck, okay? The fats go back into your bloodstream there. Large intestine then, the colon is the bulk of it, caseum, appendix and rectum. So functions of your large intestine, the big one is to reabsorb water into your blood. So like if you've got some sort of an infection in your large intestine, it means you're not reabsorbing water. So you've got diarrhea or something, and that can make you dehydrated quite quickly. So we want to keep water in our body. So the job of the large intestine is to take back water into our blood and make solid waste in our colon. Okay, now, the other thing here now, remember, making feces, of course, is another function. And the middle one then is about the symbiotic bacteria. Comes up an awful lot in the exam papers. Be able to define symbiotic, so it's a close relationship where at least one partner benefits. And actually, the type of symbiotic relationship in the large intestine is mutualism, isn't it? Because both partners are benefiting. So the bacteria are living in the colon and they're feeding from the feces, okay? But what are the bacteria doing for us? How are we benefiting? They're producing vitamin B and vitamin K, and they also compete with pathogens, disease-causing microorganisms, and try to stop the growth of those in your colon. So, sometimes if you've had a course of an antibiotic, then, it's not specific to a particular bacteria or microorganism. Antibiotics will kill all bacteria in your body, even the good symbiotic bacteria in your colon. So sometimes afterwards, the doctor might say to you, you should take a course of probiotics after your antibiotics are finished, so that you're promoting the growth of this symbiotic bacteria in your colon again after the antibiotic course. Okay? Caseum and appendix, unknown functions in humans. Rectum stores the feces, and you ingest from the anus. Okay, fibre then, you could talk a little bit about dietary and obesity, anorexia, and a balanced diet. And the enzymes that are involved then, remember, you're supposed to know amylase, pepsin, and lipase. So substrate, remember what we learned about the enzymes. The substrate, the product, the optimum pH, where it's made, and where it acts. And you've got kind of revision summary tables in your notes on that. So watch that you know those about each enzyme. So like for instance with salivary amylase, the substrate is starch. It's made in the salivary glands, but it acts in the mouth, preferred pH, and the product is maltose. Okay, now I made out a mind map on human nutrition. I'm going to put the photo of it up on Edmodo. If there's any issue with you can't read it or whatever, can you email me and ask me? Okay, thanks.